Alright, so here's an important lesson. This might be your first exposure to letters in combined with math. Okay, those are called variables. I don't know if it is or not, but this is solving equations using, this is 1.4, correction, 1.3, 1.3, solving equations, E-Q-U-A-T-I, equations. I'm not a good speller, you guys know that by now. Equations using properties, using properties of equality. E-Q-U-A, there you go, equality. Okay, so in an equation, there's two types of terms in an equation. The first type of a term is going to be your constants. Okay, those constants, okay, those are any real number, okay, that doesn't have a variable, right? Constants, and S-T-A-N, constants. Okay, yeah, there are any numbers that don't have a variable. They could be like 1, 7, 12, 3/5, 0.2, pi, it could be e, right? These are constants, okay? These might be a little bit, blow your mind a little, but these are numbers without variables, okay? A variable term variables have unknowns in them, right? Usually x or y, sometimes z, sometimes a, and sometimes there's numbers in front of it, like 3x or 2y or 3/7 x, or 4/9 y, right? Let me talk about these variables real quick, okay? These constants, or these numbers in front of these variables, belong to the numerator of the number. Okay, the numerator here is 1, numerator is 1, the numerator is 1, right? So if there's no, so x is the same as 1x, right? They just don't write the x because it's the 1, because it would just bog down and make things a little more confusing, right? So they just write the x, okay? This is positive x, right? If there's no number, if there's no sign in front of the whatever the term is, it is positive, and that's usually starting the equation on one side of the equal sign or the other. You'll see that what I mean in a second. If it has a negative sign in front of it, it belongs to that term, okay? That's not just for variables, that's for constants as well, right? The signs belong to the terms next to them, right? These are terms. They're constant terms and there's variable terms, okay? The signs belong to the term, okay? I did say earlier that the numerator belongs to, or the term, the x here, the variable, belongs to the numerator. So say we had -7/3 x, okay? We could write this a different way by saying -7x divided by 3, Okay, you could say it like that. You could also, this is equivalent to 7x divided by negative 3. Okay, as long as there's a negative sign in either the denominator or the numerator, that is still going to be negative. Okay, but if there's a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so that is not true. So there has to be only one negative sign, and you can just put it right out front if you want to. Okay, but the numerator owns the variable. All right, unless it is explicitly shown otherwise. Okay, it has to say something like 3 divided by 7x. Okay, like it would have to specifically say that. Okay, if it doesn't and it says like 3/7 x, then this belongs to the numerator. Okay, and this would be positive, right? Because it was not shown. Okay, so 1, sign not given, it's positive. 2, number not shown, it's 1. 4 variables. Okay, so here is a very simple example of an equation. Okay, equals. We are trying to solve this equation. Okay, on one side of the equation, we're going to say, we'll say 2x. We'll just do it really easy. We'll go x. That's our variable term, and I'll use green minus my constants minus 3. Okay. Okay, so I can line that up a little better. I'm making this up as I go. Equals, equal sign belongs to nothing. It's not a constant or a variable. Equals, let's see, let's do 2x minus, let's do like a minus 13. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Okay. So, what do we do from here? All right. Well, we have to balance the equation. This is like a scale. Okay, this is like a scale. All right. So if I have, let's see, my best scale here. It's got like a block and some springs, right? So if I do something to this side of the equation, I have to do it to the other side of the equation. Otherwise, the equation changes, right? So if I want to add 10 to this side, I got to add 10 to this side, right? It's still an equal equation, right? Everything is still the same. It's still a true mathematical statement, but if I do one thing to this side, I got to do it to this side as well. Okay? So, you got to keep your equation balanced. All right, so I like to look at and keep my variables positive. Okay? So I need to I'm going to take my x's and I'm going to get my x's isolated over here because 2x is bigger than x. Remember, this is a positive x, okay? Because it's not shown, right? So to get rid of x on this side, right, I need to subtract x from both sides, okay? Let me do my work in orange. Okay, so I'm going to subtract x from both. I guess I'll do it underneath. My first step. First step is subtract x from both sides. Okay, that cancels out my variables on that side. There's no more variables left. And that makes this just because 2 minus 1x, right? It didn't have a sign in it. It didn't have a constant in front of it, so it was 1. So 2x minus 1x is simply x. Okay? So that's my constants. Equals. All right? And so now I got to deal, sorry, that was my variable terms. Now I got to deal with my constant terms, which is going to be a little easier. Okay? Since I got x on this side, the constant's got to go to the other side. Right? So to get this term over to this side, I got to add 13. Because I got to get rid of it on this side. Okay, I don't want it on that side. That's negative 13, so I have to add 13 to both sides to get rid of it. So this cancels that out, and then negative 3 plus 13, so this is effectively 13 minus 3, right, is 10. So x equals 10. Okay, so that's one way to do this. Okay, that is a two-step method to do that. I guess a one-step method to do that. Okay, there's another way that I like to show you the way I was taught. Let's do 3x minus I'll do 16. Okay, equals, we'll do negative x and then plus 4. Here we go. So that's my next one. Another way I can do this is I start off the same way, right? Always want to get my x on the side that has the bigger x. Okay, that makes it easier math. Okay, so I got to get this x gone and over here. All right, so to move this one over here, it's going to switch to the other side and switch sign. So this is going to become positive x. All right, so I'm going to add positive x to the 3x, making this 4x. Okay, and then over here, this is going to be equal to, now I got to get this negative 16, this negative 16 term away, because I already reserved the left side of my equation for my constants. And I'm going to move this one over here. And when that negative sign crosses sides to the other side of the equation, it turns into a positive sign and becomes 16. All right, so 16 plus 4, 16 plus 4, so this is 16 plus 4 is 20. Okay, so now this is where this is a new thing. This is 4x is 20. All right, so what is x? Well, we've seen before that the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. And we're saying that 4 is welded to x with multiplication. Okay, let me zoom in on that. Right, this little dot here means multiplication. Right, 4 is welded to x with multiplication. So how do we get that unwelded? Right, well, we have to divide both sides by the 4. Okay, so if I take this and I take this and I divide it by the 4, right, 4x divided by 4 is just x. The 4 goes away. Okay, and then actually technically it's 1x, right? But we're not going to write the x. We're not going to write the 1. Right? Technically it's 1x, but we can just write x. Saves us a little bit of ink. Okay, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, right? 4 divided by 4 equals 1. So 4x divided by 4 equals x, right? So that's what we had going on there. All right, so over here we got 20 divided by 4. Well, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So our x value for this equation equals 5. Okay, I promise you, you will get more practice doing this. Okay, so 2 ways to do it, right? You can get the stack. I call this the stack. I call this the swing. All right, so you can stack it, or you can swing it to the other side, knowing that it changes the signs. So stack or swing, whichever one you like. Practice both, and we'll talk about it if you have any questions.